Here's something that should not be controversial in 2026. The Pitt, it got renewed fast. They released 2 seasons back to back. Daredevil Born Again, which this is one I got reminded about. Its second season comes out March 24th. In 20 days. It got renewed fast. And both times, when we heard that those were getting renewed that fast, the internet reacted like someone had performed a miracle. Not because fast renewals are rare in television history, they're not. For most of TV history, this was completely normal. You made a good show, people watched it, you made more of it. Relatively quickly. We had seasons. That was the deal. Streaming broke that deal, and it broke it deliberately. Think about the last decade of streaming actually trained us to do. Fall in love with a show, watch it obsessively, tell everyone you know about it, and then wait. And wait. And wait. 2 years if you're lucky. 3 if the show is complicated. 4 if there's a writer's strike or a production problem or an executive somewhere who needs to see a better second season before they'll commit. By the time season 2 arrives, and we saw this with that show Wednesday, half the audience has mentally moved on, right? Your demo's done. The cultural moment has passed. That show has to re-earn attention it already had. And then executives look at the season 2 numbers, compare them to season 1, and go, well, obviously we don't need to make a season 3. This created a problem. They used the problem as justification for more of the same behavior. Now, here's what I want to be clear about, because it is important. This isn't a story just about stupid executives. The people running these platforms are not idiots. They understand exactly how television builds cultural legacy. They know what The Sopranos did over 6 seasons. They know what Breaking Bad did. They know when a show has enough time to become part of people's lives rather than part of their queue. They know, they just don't care. Because none of that shows up on this year's bonus. The incentive structure for every executive in every business everywhere rewards one thing: short-term numbers. And especially in entertainment. Did the show spike signups this quarter? Did it trend on social media? Great, greenlight season 2. Did it build slowly and steadily over 18 months through word of mouth and genuine audience loyalty? Doesn't matter. That's not a metric anyone's tracking. So executives make the safe call every time. Not because they can't see the long game, but because the long game's not paying their money. And the result is a television landscape where the safest thing a show can be is a limited series. Contained, finish. No renewal decision required. No risk of a season 2 that underperforms. No awkward conversations with the other executives and the board about why you're spending money on a show whose best days might be 3 years from now. Which brings us back to Daredevil. The original Board Again concept was exactly that. A contained, limited series. 18 episodes, done. Prestige, safe. And Marvel and Kevin Feige scrapped it. Rebuilt it from scratch. Turned it into something with a future. And when season 1 landed and the audience show up, they immediately greenlit season 2. That decision almost certainly made folks at Disney nervous. It's a bet on an audience being there in a year rather than a guarantee of subscriber spike this quarter. The Pitt made the same bet. A medical drama with no IP, no cinematic universe, no built-in fan base, just a really good show that found an audience. And instead of making them wait 3 years to see if that audience was still there, they said, let's go again. And we've already got 2 seasons. Both of those decisions feel radical in 2026. They shouldn't. They should be the default. But they're not. Because somewhere between Netflix proving streaming can work and every other company copying it, the industry quietly decided that the relationship between a show and its audience was an asset to be managed, not an investment. Jay, you and I have both watched this happen with shows that we actually like. And my argument is that the executives making these delay decisions aren't confused about what they're doing. They're optimizing, that it's nothing to do with whether the show is good. So here's what I want to know. Do you think Daredevil and The Pitt start to move the needle to changing things back to the way that they used to be? Or do you think these are still complete outliers?
I think we're going to see a shift. And I think what's kind of interesting to me is I wonder if it will always go back and forth. And what I mean by that is, like, by the time we get used to, like, once again, going back to how TV shows used to be, then they're going to flip the script and it's going to go the other way. And it kind of, because there's like a really weird psychology of, like, you only truly notice things when they change. Like, there's some sort of like underlying psychological thing. So
Mm-hmm.
like everything has to be like constantly changing, refreshing. This is why social media is like so addictive with, and you find yourself scrolling for hours. So I wonder if like, there's something like that where we will keep like oscillating like back and forth of just like we're going to go back to old school and now we're going to go back to like the new school that like no one likes, but it still makes a lot of money. And yeah, we're just going to bounce between the two.
How do we change that incentive structure? I guess that's the other thing. Because in the old days, it was easy. It was ratings, right?
Mhm.
When they did it under the old network broadcast model, right? A show came out in the fall, right? They had fall rating checks, and then they had May sweeps, right? Where they would check the ratings, and that was when all the renewals for the following season, which we're going to start that September, came out, right? So they got that constant, immediate feedback. Week to week, they would get Nielsen ratings. We knew what the ratings were for every show, week to week to week to week to week. Also, because of streaming, we don't have appointment television anymore, right? Um, you don't need to sit down at 9 p.m. Pacific, 8 Central, right? To watch a show, and if you don't catch it and your VCR didn't work, you're screwed until it hits reruns maybe in the summer. Right? So because of that, again, they're not getting that immediate feedback. How do we as a consumer base, because they will react, realign those incentives for them? You know, like I think it worked with things like Game of Thrones because people had watch parties. Remember when Game of Thrones was huge
Mm,
and everybody
yeah.
had watch parties every Sunday? Like I know we did it with our friends, right? Every Sunday during Game of Thrones, it was we all have dinner together at 6 on a Sunday, and when the show drops at 8 p.m. on stream, we watch it together, and then we go about our day. Is that what we need to do? Do we need to start organizing watch parties again?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I think, or just like stuff going viral on social media. Like everyone's talking about it on TikTok, right? Like that's probably going to go back to the studios, and they're going to be like, "Wow, like you know, this TV show, the Firefly, dear
Mm-hmm.
God, Firefly is doing really good. Like, there's so much like buzz on social media. We need to like renew it. I don't know.
Um, yeah, I mean, we got to do something to again to rebuild that that incentive for them. Um, Somebody in the chat saying I'm still really jaded about Game of Thrones. Those of us read the books because we kept our mouth shut. And y'all couldn't give us the same courtesy for even 2 weeks after an episode once the show went past the book. Um, I know again, I stick to my unless we are specifically doing a spoiler review or spoiler cast. Um, for a movie, I wait till it has finished its theatrical run, right? If it's still in theaters, unless we're doing a specific spoiler cast, which will be plastered everywhere, right? When we do reviews, and you go look at our movie reviews on this channel, we don't do spoilers on those. We will do a specific spoiler cast for that. Um, for television shows, I will wait till the end of the season in
Hmm.
streaming land, right? Um, this is why it's hard to do. Like somebody asked me if we were going to do a show on the stream. And I said if we were going to do it, we would probably do it off stream and record two different segments. Because we would do like a straight review, which doesn't take long for a TV show. And then we would do a spoiler talk. Um, but it's hard to do those on stream. So we don't typically do those. That's one of the reasons we don't do it. It's also for us, because we're busy, hard to keep up with them, like on the point where we need to be doing them. If you guys would support us and we get to this point where this is all Jay and I do, then we're happy to start doing more week to week TV content.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, that's what stops me. The other thing that stops me from doing TV content.
And since we're kind of on this like weird topic, you know, Alex what we should revisit
What's that?
are those some of those t-shirt designs ideas.
I don't remember. My brain
It
hurts.
it happened, I think it was like the beginning of the year. Yeah, because I think I did them over Christmas break. I made a handful of like error code t-shirts, like design of t.
We do need to do that.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of dope.
Yeah.